We want you to the best that you can be. And that gives reason for this program we're having this today. So the essence is to build you up in your endeavors. So for some of us here, we're people that are interested in the 9 to 5 or the 9 to 12 for some people. For some people, it's entrepreneurship. So whatever aspect that you want to endeavor in, we want to ensure that you shine the light, right, in your own community, in your own space. We are led by our pastor here, Pastor Yomi Olugbenro, so you can clap for him. So can you stand up? Please stand up, let him clap for you. So he's a convener of this program. He has spearheaded it and, giving direction to everything that's happening today. So please, a round of applause for him again. Amen. All right. So we'll have another video from the media team. But meanwhile, does someone have a go at that song? There'll be a cash prize. There'll be a prize. Let me say cash prize. There'll be a prize for that person that can sing it. Just have an attempt.
Who is the lucky winner? Oh, you can do it.
Oh well. Don't try. All right. Should we clap for you so you can have the morale to come up? Please clap for her. She's smiling, so obviously she wants to have a go. Please continue clapping for her as she comes up. Oh, come up. Let's see.
My name is Alao Rachel. You are a star, shine. Welcome to Allstar Church.
Let's see us before you go. That's a very wonderful attempt. 2 sentences, but we're going to accept that from her. All right? Okay, very good, very good. I'm going to have different sets of people here. Some people have come from far and wide. We want to appreciate you for coming here this morning and being part of the conversation. Trust me, we have a whole for you guys. We have seasoned speakers that will speak to so many things. Victoria will go ahead with, if we can display the agenda for today, so that Victoria will just run us through and let them know what we have in store for them today.
Okay, so the first thing on our agenda, we've gone past that, the arrival, serenade, open prayer. So right now we'll be going with the plenary one, which is future of work, employability skills in post-COVID world. So this is going to be very, very educative, and I implore you to please pay attention. And then the next thing would be the panel session. This is going to be a discussion, with several key people in the community that have done a lot of good work, and I implore you to also pay attention. And the next would be a workshop. So here, if you're an entrepreneur, a medical doctor, in whichever field of career that you're in, there will be a breakout session where you can interact, connect, network, and all of that. And then the next will be the plenary 2, which is Be Your Own Boss by our very own Pastor Reverend Yomi. This is going to be awesome. I implore you, please wait till this session. You don't want to leave before hearing this out. And then we're going to close and then do all the closing formalities. So that's basically all for today. I implore you, pay attention. Get your pen and your jotter ready. It's going to be explosive, educative, and interesting. Thank you very much.
All right. So the meeting wants to display the video.
Hello, my name is Yomi Olugbenro, and I want to specially invite you to this year's edition of the Allstar Church Career Conference. The theme is Leap'21. We are trusting God for a whole new level of conversation that will galvanize your career journey. And it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. Maybe you are, still searching for a new job, or you currently, keeping up with a particular job that isn't really the best fit for you, and you just need that conversation to help you, change the course of your career journey on the right path. Or you are already on the journey, maybe you're already gainfully employed and you're just looking for the conversation on how to be, an high potential talent, and how to move quite swiftly, on the career ladder. So it's going to be a whole day of session. Myself and a whole lot of other speakers will be there, speaking in plenary, in breakout sessions, in workshop, just touching virtually every areas of career aspiration. It doesn't matter whether you are an entrepreneur or you are a professional 8 to 5 person in the sciences, in the engineering, in the medical field, in the finance area. So whatever it's your own area of interest as far as career is concerned, and whatever might be your need as far as gainful employment and making sure that you make the right impact wherever your working is concerned. So please join us on Friday, October 1st from the morning all through to the afternoon. It's going to be a whole day of conversation that will help you to move forward in life. I look forward to catching up with you. So please join us at the Allstar Church Career Conference 2021. Leap'21. Let me see you there.
Amen. Please a round of applause for our pastor. He did a fantastic job there. I almost thought I was listening to CNN, but we're still here at Allstar Church. All right, not to beat around the bush, we want to go straight to the first plenary session to be anchored by Yemi Fashion. But briefly, let me just give you a background to our speaker. For those that are on LinkedIn, it's a very popular person, and the context he gives to each HR perspective is wonderful. So Yemi Fashion is a global human resource executive with over 20 years experience across banking, telecommunication, and management consulting sectors. He's passionate. All right, let me go.
When are you going to change? I think the only profile I love to enjoy is God's profile. And that's what I wake up to every morning. Yeah. Thank you very much. Good morning, sir. Good morning. The reason I want to sit is because I want to be less under pressure. So please permit me to sit. And that's also because I think this session should be excuse me, more of a conversation than anything theoretical. Nothing out of the textbook. Let's talk about real life situations about our career. And I didn't get the context to the audience, but if anything from 2 years ago is instructive, I assumed I was going to be full of young people. So when I came in and I saw so many young people, I realized that, okay, so the context of my conversations will be appropriate for now. How many people are still in school in the room? If you're still in school. Okay, so majority of us are actually still in school. Aren't you guys extremely, extremely lucky? And I say that because if we had the chance about 30 years ago to have conversations like this, maybe it will have helped our career and we will have moved a bit faster than we did. But in our days, nobody was talking to anyone. We were left to find our ways. Not many people lit candles behind them so that we can find the right path to our success journey. We had to work for it. So you guys are lucky because of what technology has allowed us to do. You are lucky because there are so many selfless people who are putting their time and their resources and energy and everything and intellect into making sure that thousands and possibly millions of people coming from behind are able to find the path to their career success very, very quickly. What this kind of conversation, what we're going to do throughout today, what it does to you is that it shortens the curve between where you are right now and where you're going to be in the next 5 or 10 or 20 years. That's what it does to you. So please don't take it lightly, right? It is extremely important. There's so many people right now, I promise you, they are on the football field playing soccer. They don't have an idea what the next couple of years is going to be. They're probably watching Africa Magic right now. Some are watching Big Brother. Am I right? Some are watching Big Brother right now. Some are anything that might be value eroders to them, rather than sitting and listening here now to things that will fast forward or fast track the success they will enjoy in the next couple of years. So please, mine is to set the context and set the tone for the conversations that will happen. Believe me, I have not come with a bag of tricks or something on my iPad. I'll tell you 7 ways to succeed in 7 years. I don't have that. If that's what you're waiting for, sorry to disappoint you. I don't have anything to show you that I have done things right consistently over the years, and that is why I am successful. No, I promise you guys, I am not there yet. I am still on a journey. The only thing we can do as people who are going to be ahead of you is to share from our failures, share from our experiences, so that you can learn from those things. I always say that your journey is going to be unique to you. Please take it like that. There's so many people you see on Instagram today and maybe LinkedIn now. They call themselves influencers, right? And the only story you read about them are what? Success stories. Don't be deceived. Don't be fooled. It's all lies. I'm going to preach a kind of sermon that you don't hear every time, but I promise you I'll keep it as real as possible. Right? One of my posts on LinkedIn, I think the last one, was actually celebrating my failures. I promise you that I have failed before and I am constantly failing. As I yesterday, in my place of work, I spent 3-4 days on some initiative to the MD and about 19 slides. It didn't go past 1 slide before the MD tore it apart. As I yesterday. I'm still failing. So, let no one convince you because of the things that are available to us today at the touch of the button that life is easy. It's not. You've got to work out your own salvation. I'll try and remember as many Bible passages as I can because we are in church this morning. I tend to not speak religion, but we are in church. So you've got to work out your own salvation. Don't work out your career or business success based on the things that you see from the so-called influencers. They show you one side of the coin. They don't show you the other side. I promise you, the other side is there are more stories behind the stories that you read from time to time. But like I said, anytime you have an opportunity like this to have conversations about things that will shorten the curve between where you are and where you want to be, please take it serious. And I like to share experiences, so I'll share from my own journey. My career journey will be, I think by maybe September this year, it will be about 30 years that I've started on this journey. So when we bring stories to you, it's to share so that you can learn from them. But like I said, please don't take it, copy it, and paste it in your own lives. It doesn't work. What you can do is to copy, edit, for context, for your uniqueness, edit again and again, and then you can paste. And I think it was from Lara I heard about 2 years ago, she might not remember, about universal principles of success. They are universal, they are the same, and they are timeless. I think that was the word she used. Success principles are timeless and universal. But I added to say that you have to contextually apply them to your situation. So where I am coming from is going to be totally different from where you're coming from. Our backgrounds are going to be different. But let nobody say to me that my background should allow me put my back to the ground. Apply universal and timeless principles based on your own situation. So the things that I'm going to be saying today might be general. You've got to bring them home and say, where am I in the scheme of things? Where am I in the journey of life? For those of us who have not started our career and still in school, you're extremely lucky to be listening to conversations like this. I promise you. For some of us, we were a bit lucky in the sense that we were thinking about the future very, very early in life, and that helped. Not because we had access to events like this, but because poverty at times allows you, to really think about the things you must do so that you won't end up within the circumstances you found yourself. So I had a very huge fear of failure. Background was very, very average, extremely average. My mom was a teacher. I can't even remember what my dad did till today. I promise you. I know that my mom took care of school fees for all of us since I was in year 2 at Loyola College, Ibadan. So when I say average and moderate, that's what I mean. And because I didn't want to continue along the same lines, I started thinking about the future a very, very long time ago. And that's the reason I said that you guys are lucky. Because the best time to think about the future is when? Now. It's now. The future is not going to happen to you suddenly. It's not going to happen to you in a day. It's going to happen to you daily. As we spend 24 hours and the sun rises and the sun sets and we sleep and we wake up, the future is coming. The analogy I love to give about the future is the pregnant woman. So my daughter comes to me and says, Oga, I need a loan. I'm like, Oga Body, why do you need a loan? And he says, my wife suddenly born. The future is like a pregnant woman. It gives how long in terms of notice? How many months? 9 months. For you to plan, to prepare, to get ready for the arrival of a baby. It gives you 9 months. So anytime that word, future, anytime you come across it, don't think it's something that is 5 years away. Don't think that it's something that is 25 years away. The future is literally now. And that's the title of a book I published, and it is free on my website. You can go download it, The Now of Work, because it's no longer the future of work. We've talked so much about the future that the future crept on us so suddenly, and so many people were not ready. So get ready for the future today. Don't wait for the government to do things for you. Don't wait for parents to do things for you. Don't wait for the church to do everything for you. The individual with the primary responsibility for your career or business success is who? Is you. You will get help from career conversations like this. You will get help from mentors. You might get to the point where you will have coaches, but you cannot outsource that primary responsibility. You must retain it. Remember the story of Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream, right? But who retained the responsibility to actualize that dream throughout the process of his journey? It was himself. He had chances to mess up the dream, but he did not, because he retained the responsibility. So whatever dream you are carrying for the future, as we sit here today, please do not think that primarily somebody must help you. And I hear this a lot. Let me quickly disabuse your mind before you get into that space where you're going to be looking for work. You might have heard from those who have gone ahead of you, and they say that if you don't know somebody in an organization, you can't work there. It's not true. Sincerely, it's not true. Will it help? May it fast-track things? Is it possible that somebody might drop your name if you know somebody? Yes. But it is also not true that you cannot get a job somewhere if you don't know someone. From your perspective, do all that you need to do first to get ready for that future. Like I said, it doesn't happen in a day, but it happens daily. So the question I'm going to be leaving you with a couple of questions. The first thing is, what or how much time are you spending in the future? Like I said, I started spending time in the future. I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to end up as a teacher, right? So I was thinking of what degree, what course should I do so that I could move away from, so that I could pivot if you could say, from that kind of environment, and I started spending time in terms of what I was going to do. But believe me, I started failing. And that's the next thing I'm going to talk about. I started failing. By the time I left secondary school, I had 4 credits. This was somebody who had the fear of failure, but because I was so into soccer, I played football a lot. I thought I was brilliant enough to pass my school stats, so I wasn't concentrating. So I failed. But I learned from my experiences around failure. So if you link the fact that you need to spend time in the future, you need to have dreams about the future, and circumstances around you right now don't seem to be adding up, don't forget that you're on a journey. It's a process. It's not going to happen when at times you expect it to happen. I mean, look at an individual who woke up one day and had a dream of the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. And you reading that, you are relating it immediately to his family. And the next thing that happened to him was that he was put in a pit, sold to slavery, he went to prison. How do you relate that dream with reality? But don't forget, it's a process. Between when he had a dream and when it was fulfilled, how many years? Bible students, how many years? Between when Joseph had a dream and when the dream was fulfilled, about 13 years. He had a dream when he was 17, and at 8:30, he became the prime minister in Egypt. So there's a process to things. But it starts with what? With a dream. It starts with spending time in the future. It doesn't start with you spending time ruining over your circumstances and your background and life is not fair, why me, why not, and all that. No. You've got to rise above all that and concentrate and focus on what you want to be, who you want to be, where you want to go. Our words and our thoughts, they are like raw materials. We send messages to the universe, and the universe will use them as raw materials to manufacture our realities. I've worked in about 12 organizations, and I promise you at least 6 or 7 were places where I thought I wanted to work, thinking about them in the past and finding myself within those spaces when the future arrived. You've got to structure your own future given the kind of conversations you have with yourself internally. The future is now. There is no future of work. There is no when I get there. That future has arrived. And you've got to place yourself within the context of the future today. Like I said, we wake up and we sleep and we wake up and then we say, what? Today is October 1. Where did 9 months go? I mean, we can almost remember like, it wasn't not 3 months ago we were saying Happy New Year. It sounded like just 6 months ago, but guys, 3 months from now, we're going to be saying what again? Another Happy New Year. And then most of us will do New Year resolution. Some of us will do New Year reflection. And then we wonder, where did the year go? And we would have forgotten that we had 365 days in a year. So we slept and woke up. The sun rose and set for 365 days. And all of a sudden, the world has gone full circle again. So what happened? What did I do? What did I achieve? Don't wait until Happy New Year 2022 before you start thinking of what you want to achieve in 2022. Start now. Start thinking about it now. Right? Now, let me also say to you that it's not going to be as easy as you think from a career perspective. It's not going to be as you spell it out. You will need to have, in today's world, the competition is cutthroat. The future that is today, it is cutthroat. I mean, I was flipping through LinkedIn as I sat there, and I saw 4 new partners admitted into KPMG. And I'm thinking, how many people were eligible to be admitted into partnership? Possibly 20. But 4 were admitted. Yomi will know. If we look at the hierarchy in your organization, there will be the struggle to get into partnership. In my organization, people will be struggling to get into senior manager or director or chief and everywhere. But how many spaces do we have? Very few. In your minds right now, please draw a triangle. Right? Can you? You can see a triangle? Now, at the base of the triangle, what's the space there like? Very wide, isn't it? That is where so many people are. But as you go up the career or business triangle, what happens to the spaces? It begins to do what? It begins to thin out. That's the real world. That is the real world. So the spaces, as we move day in, day out, year in, year out, the spaces will become more and more limited. The reality, fact of life. But only those who were prepared for the future in the past will be ready for the opportunities when they come. About 2 weeks ago, I said, when opportunities come knocking on your door, please be at home. Because if you're not at home, what will opportunity do? Go somewhere else. So be at home. So anytime you're thinking about the future and your career, or maybe if you're in business, please think about the triangle. The spaces are limited. What must I do today, therefore, to get ready for the future so that I can take advantage of opportunities? In business, the margins are thinning out. Competition is at cutthroat. I work with 7-Up bottling company. Our costs have risen, almost doubled in the last 1 year because of what has happened around the world. But we can't even pass that final cost to the consumer. Because once you increase prices, we've got choices. From Coca-Cola to La Casera to Biggie to... So if you say that, let me increase my prices so that I can recover some of my costs, what will consumers do? They go to competition. It's the same thing from a career perspective. The spaces are limited. So what are you doing today to get yourself ready so that when the opportunities come, you will be available to take advantage of those opportunities? Let nobody, for those who are still in school, please let nobody deceive you that it's no longer the world of first class and 2-1. Don't listen. Please don't listen. First class 2-1 is the place of excellence. Even if it's not what will get you that job, still get out of school excellently. You see what I mean? When we were in school, so because I failed before, I had to go do A-levels. I told you I failed school, so I had to go do A-levels. Even the A-levels, the points were not enough for me to get into the university. And by the time I finished A-levels, I still had 4 credits. So I couldn't go anywhere. So whatever you read, and that's one of the reasons I don't enjoy profiles. The profile will talk about all the things that I am, but it won't talk about all the things I had failed at. Okay? So A-levels, 4 credits, nowhere to go. I sat at home, and that was when my eyes cleared very well. Because I knew it was either I passed that year or I'll become a spare parts seller in Ibadan, somewhere at Iwo Road or Gates. So I sat down and I decided, okay, this is either make it or it breaks for you. And then that was when I made my results and I went to Ife. But because I had learned from my experiences, and this is where I'm going, because of those who may not want to continue trying because they failed before, no, don't do that, right? Learn from your failure and fail forward. The place of failing forward is taking advantages of what you have learned from what you did not do well so that you can try again and be better at it. I remember that we didn't offer commerce in my secondary school, Loyola College, but I sat down to read it myself because I had now learned at A-levels how to sit down to read. And eventually I made an A2. And then mathematics, I finally made C6. After P7, P8, final, but 4 times, I finally made it. And then I went to university, but I learned, I said to myself that the only thing, the least thing that I would leave school with was going to be a 2-1. I made up my mind. I knew how to calculate my GPA before I started my first lecture. I got the school manual and I read through it. It was a green book. I won't forget. And I read it from page to page. The courses I needed to do, the grades that I needed to make, the units. I was multiplying my GPA myself before I started my first lectures. And my year 2, I remember that Athletic came to Ife and they came to recruit people who were on first class and 2-1 track. So you can see that again, some levels of success are not going to be for everybody. Let's not kid ourselves. And that's the reason I said, please, I am not saying that if you make it 2-2, you will not make it in life. Don't get me wrong. But there are choices for you to make a first class, a 2-1, a 2-2, a third class. What should you go for? What should you aim for? Somebody said that if you aim for the sun, eventually you might find yourself among the stars. So be the best at what you are today. There is going to be a link between where you are now and where you're going to be in the future. Life is a process. So don't think that it's going to be, like I said, whatever anybody is going to do for you. It's a lot about what you're going to do for yourself. Don't outsource that responsibility of structuring out how your future is going to be. It might not be exactly at the time when you want it to be, but please, line upon line, and what? Precept upon precept. We can't circumvent process. I mean, let's learn from God. Before he created man, what did he first do? Everything that man was going to need. He didn't create man and say, oh, what is man going to eat? Oh, how is man going to survive? No, he first created everything man was going to need. So, if God is a God of process, and he's created nature and life and the world built around process, what excuses do we have not to put processes in place for us to succeed also in whatever we want to do? It's going to be very, very hard out there. I'm not going to kid you. We are 200 million people. 200 million. And remember the career triangle. The spaces are 3 now. We call it many chiefs. No, many Indians and less chiefs. As you go up, you have less chiefs. And something must differentiate you at every point in time as you move up that ladder. Something must differentiate you. Self-development is extremely, extremely important. I preach it every day and I preach it every time. Let me give you an example of what I did from a self-development perspective. I didn't even know that I was going to study English, but I read novels a lot, a whole lot. And every time I came across a new word, I would write it down on a notebook. I would write the spelling, write the pronunciation, and the contextual usage. Any new word. Interested in one of my daughters is following that footstep without me telling her anything. Every new word. And I didn't know what I thought I was going to busy at me. I thought I was going to do law, but eventually I studied English. Now, one of my major strengths today is communication skills, right? But it started from way back 1986. So where I'm going is this. What is it about your skills or strengths that are very unique to you that you have recognized? Don't let it go. Play more on it every day. Look for opportunities to explore those skills so that you can get better at it from time to time. Don't let it go. If you're at the space where you do not understand what is that thing about you that is unique, let me send you on a journey. Go find it out. Go find it out. So I got to that point. I read English. I went to the University of Ilorin to do my youth service, and then they put me in front of a class to be a lecturer. Straight out of school to be teaching people whose universe I just left about a few months before then. I promise you, I'll never forget my first experience. That morning, it was a 10 o'clock lecture, and they said to me that my class was ready. So I'd read about being nervous. I had prepared. I had done my dry run to myself, looking at myself and teaching this class. So I held a glass of water to test my level of nerves, and my hand was like this. Because about 100, 150 students were waiting for me. I mean, okay, so if you think I look young now, try and imagine in 1990 what I looked like to stand in front. Lara said I look like this. That's actually true. To stand in front of students to teach them English, and for the first time in my life. But what I did was to get ready for my first 10 minutes of lecture by writing down what I would dictate to them. We must always just prepare, always, always. So I got into class and I said, okay, so this is GNS. And they were still looking at me. I said, what is this? Who is this? I mean, this is not one of us. You know? And then I said to them, yeah, I'm going to be your teacher. And then they adjusted and all that. And I wasn't looking at anybody. I was just looking at my notes. So please take these notes. But the first 10 minutes allowed me to calm and regain composure. And I was looking at them. Okay, they actually don't have two heads. So they are human beings like me. And, I can survive here. And then gradually I calmed down. And guess what? Link what started about 30 years ago to what I am doing in front of you right now. Can somebody think deeply? Link what happened in 1990, September, October, after camp, to what I'm doing right now. And this is what I've been doing for the last 4 to 5 years, almost on a weekly basis. At some point in 2019 or 2018, I had about 54 speaking engagements, almost every weekend. But like I said, link it to what happened in 1990. So where are you today? And that's going to be my last point, or maybe second to the last. Where are you today? Whatever you're doing today, there is something about it that is going to link to your future. Be present in the moment. Guys, as much as I say spend time in the future, I'm also saying to you, be present in the moment. What is it that you think you are doing right now? You think this is not what God wants me to do, etc. But God is still saying to you, perhaps, that there is something about the moment that you're going through, that you're doing, that you're achieving, that you're not concentrating on. You are going to need the same thing sometime in the future. Like I said, line upon line, precept upon precept. Do not ignore the mystery of small beginnings. Don't focus so much on where you want to be, the job that you want to do, the profession that you want to change to, that you forget to do the things you're doing now extremely well. It is only when you are doing today's job very well that we will recommend you for something else in the future. You can't use, I don't like what I'm doing, I'm not passionate about it. You can't use that as excuses for poor performance. Even if you're in school and what you wanted to do or what you want to do is not what you're doing right now, that is what life has offered you, right? Do it well. Do it excellently well. I didn't want to study English. I am so happy today I'm not a lawyer because at some point I wanted to change from part 1 to part 2 to law. So possibly I'll be doing charge and bail by now. No regrets at all. So be present in the moment. There is something about where you are today that is going to link extremely and critically to where you are going to be. Please don't ignore where you are now. What are the lessons life is giving you towards your career or towards your business success? Take risks. You've got to learn to take risks, guys. And this is preparing you again ahead of time. Don't sit in comfort zones. There's a book called The Enemy Called Average. Don't be too comfortable. In fact, the moment you're in a space and you're achieving a lot, that's probably, again, the best time to ask yourself, what next? Or what else? And you'll be amazed at what opportunities will come to you from time to time. Let me also encourage you, please, to build good networks. Those of you in school right now, don't think that I'm going to start building professional network when I get out of school. No. Where you are now, start building a good network. You'll be surprised. So out of 12 jobs that I've done, I applied for 2 on the pages of newspapers. The remaining 10, up to the one that I'm doing today, they were through referrals. I didn't apply. They were through referrals, through networks, people I had worked with, friends, etc. So please, the relationships that you are building today, make sure they are quality relationships. They will yield great dividends over time. Don't sit in a lonely world. The future, which is now, is not asking for you to just be in your corner and do your thing and say, this is who I am. No, the world has gone beyond all that. Be a global citizen in a local environment. Let your aspirations be very wide. Right now, let me tell you what is happening. People are living in Nigeria and working with organizations offshore. And they are collecting what? People are living offshore and they are working with companies in Nigeria and still collecting what? That's the reality of where we are today. The traditional ways of doing things are changing very, very fast. People now hold 2 jobs. During my time, we'll call it PP, and we say it's not allowed. The workforce today is determining how the organization should run, not the other way around. Things are changing, so be in tune with current reality. Don't bring your old selves into a new normal. Be constantly involved in what's going on around you. I put up something on my WhatsApp status this morning. It was a guy on his knees proposing to a lady in the UK with a keg of 4-liter fuel. What's happening in the UK? Fuel scarcity. It's a subject of conversation if you go somewhere, maybe an interview. If somebody just asks you what's going on. So please, Instagram is great. Be a slay queen on Facebook. Right? Which one again? Something chat. Snapchat. Post another. But all of that, they are mere value eroders. On a daily basis, before the final 5 minutes, when you want to drop everything, your phone, the book you're reading, your conversations, the final 5 minutes before you doze off, the question you should ask yourself is, what value have I added to myself today? Because the world out there doesn't pay for certificates. It doesn't pay for degrees anymore. It doesn't pay for what you know. It pays for what you do with what you know. You've got to come bring solutions to the business. You've got to become a game changer. You've got to be that individual who moves the business forward. When they're doing appraisals, my ogas like Yomi, when the door is shut, and there are just about 10 of them in the room, and they're talking about the entire organization of everyone in this room. You are not there. They're asking what value is that individual bringing to the business. Once you continue on the role of value-based conversations with yourself on a daily basis, it is very likely that you will add value to your ecosystem, and it is only then that you retain the right to ask for value from your ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful session. So right now, I'd like to ask from the audience if there's any questions. This would be the perfect time to tend to that. So is there any questions? Please come with the mic, please. Just put your hand up if you have any questions. Okay, while we're waiting I have one question, sir. So someone asked, what are other things in life that are value eroders?
All right. So what I'll say is this: anything that you do that doesn't improve you, and you can't say that this thing is leading to growth. You do the same thing week 1, week 2, week 3, and when you check where you are, and you do a self-analysis, it doesn't lead to growth. What's the point of doing such things? So I've mentioned a few things. Don't get me wrong, social media is good. I'm an active player on social media. But the point is, what are you doing on social media? So on a Monday morning basis, every week, I post something around leadership, career, and life. And that's because it ties into my own purpose of helping people coming behind me to find their way to success along the journey. So the question is, what is the objective of that thing that you're doing? For instance, I'm not going to say to you that don't go to the cinema on a Friday. I mean, we all need to avoid burnout from time to time. It's part of the building quality networks that I'm talking about. But once you cannot link that to any important area of your life, whatever it is that you're doing, then what's the point? Really, what's the point? If I want to go home now, Google Maps will help, trying to find out what the best route is, right? But if I don't have anywhere to go, I just want to get into the car and I want to go on a cruise. Does it matter where I go? It doesn't matter. If I find myself at Ikorodu, all well and good. I'm just doing what? Just cruising. If I find myself at Epe, that is fine. But if you define upfront the things that you want to achieve, and I know that these are not easy things to do at the level where we are today. But I promise you that those are the things that will differentiate you from the crowd over a period of time. Remember that we said that the crowd is very, very thick at the moment. I've said before that the universe of the ordinary is overcrowded. For you to therefore take a leap into the universe of the extraordinary, you've got to do something different. You've got to do the same things differently, or you've got to do things that are different from what the crowd is doing. So anything that doesn't lead to growth, anything that doesn't lead to you changing your position from where you are, anything that doesn't lead to purpose, for me, those things are value eroders.
Thank you, sir. Just one more question.
Sure, I'm here.
Apart from The Enemy Called Average, can you advise us on any other books to go for?
Oh, okay. I didn't mention that. Apologies. Who Moved My Cheese? Please, everybody, it's free online, I think, now. There is a video of it on YouTube. You'll probably spend 30 minutes and you'll go through it. That's a great book about change management, because you guys are going to go through several layers of change in the future, right? So please get ready. Get yourself ready with Who Moved My Cheese. Another book is The Iceberg is Melting. I love that as well. It's about change management. Please, if you can get this book, it will help you. Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. Great book. What I've learned on my way to the top by Zig Ziglar. And I think Lessons from the Top as well from Zig Ziglar. If you can get books, Awakening the Giant Within, Anthony Robbins. Now, what made a difference in my career, I must tell you, is not the book that I read or my seriousness in school by making a 2-1. The books that I read after school, they've made a whole lot of difference to my career today. So I read books about sales when I go into sales. I read books about direct marketing when I go into direct marketing. Of course, when I go into HR. But those were not even the books that made the difference. Not the technical books, but the books from people who had been successful before. I remember I said that mentoring is a new thing. We didn't have opportunities to go and look for a mentor somewhere and follow them and all that. When did the social media become extremely available? Just about 10, 15 years ago. I'm talking about 1990, 30 years ago. I'm talking about the time when if you want to make a call, international call, you know where you go? Everybody will leave their houses and go to GRA to go and to be on the queue if you want to make an international call. But today, everything is in the palm of our hands, right? So things are a lot different. Take advantage of the technology that you have in your hands to do things that will add value to you. So I hope you capture some of those books, but please read about people who have been successful, even if you don't have a mentor. Even if you are trying to reach somebody who's a mentor on LinkedIn and they're not responding to you, you have easy access to mentors through books, because those guys have put their thoughts down and you can follow their footsteps as well. Okay?
All right, last question, sir.
Okay.
Please tell us or advise us on how to get over our fear of success.
No, fear of failure, you mean?
Fear of failure.
Okay, so it's about preparation. So number one, have a dream. If I can just do a recap. Number one, have a dream, have a vision, have a compass that guides you through life. Don't leave things to chance. Be deliberate and intentional about what you want to do, where you want to be. Remember I said that, okay, so let me give you an example. In terms of visioning for yourself, I was working with a company, a one-woman business in 1996, yeah. No, sorry, 2006. I'm mixing up the dates now. In 2006. But I wasn't comfortable anymore towards the end of the year. About this time, 2006. And I didn't want to go into the following year with the same job. So as part of me spending time in the future and personal conferences with myself, I said that I would love to leave, but I need to be specific about where I would love to work in 2007. So I took a diary of GT Bank, I remember specifically, and I wrote down 7 organizations I would love to work in the following year. Of course, everybody wanted oil company, so I wrote Mobil. Everybody wanted oil company, I wrote Chevron. I think I wrote GTB, I wrote Stanbic IBTC, and about 2 or 3 others. I was going to work February 2007, one morning, and somebody called me from Stanbic IBTC and said that they were looking for head of HR, if I was interested. Remember, Stanbic was one of the organizations I wrote down in that diary. So you've got to have a vision of where you want to be. Life is happening to so many people unintentionally. Don't be in that crowd. Be in the camp where you are making life happen to you deliberately because of what you want out of life. So you've got a dream, you've got a vision. Like I said earlier on, don't forget, it might not happen when you think it should happen, but there's something about grit, guts, and gusto. You've got to grind through life, guys. Nobody promised us it was going to be easy. Remember? Nobody promised us. You've got to go through this with a lot of guts, grit, and gusto. There's a book, Only the Something Survive. I can't remember the title of the book. Not the brave now. I mean, it just talks about you've got to zig and zag through life. A lot is riding on you. So don't stop at dreaming. You've got to follow up with action. Do you need to read another book? Just do it. Do you need to do some certifications in your field? Just do it. Don't continue to postpone and procrastinate and say that it will happen one day. There's an island called One Day I'll. It's just full of dead dreams. Because people will say one day I will, one day I'll. So they call it One Day Island. Don't be in that category. Vision, dream, but follow up with action. Take risks. You've got to make sacrifices. Sacrifices with your time, with your resources. If you're working right now already and you think your income is small, from that small income, take out about 3K, 2K on a monthly basis and buy books that will add to you. Get ready for change. Change will always happen. Most importantly, what I didn't also mention is that you are a brand. Be careful how you are managing yourself as a brand. On a daily basis, people are coming across you and they are taking a decision whether they want to buy you as a brand or not. So spend time on who you are. I'm not saying go and write fantastic things about yourself on social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Don't talk about what you are not. Whatever you cannot defend, don't append it. Don't put it up. But whatever you can defend about yourself, please leave it out. Build yourself as a personal brand so that people can buy you when they see you on the shelf. And I think that's about it. With all that,
we'll have one question from the crowd. Sorry, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for the amazing panel session. So I'd like to ask, based on personality, because we have different personality, I noted that you were talking about building good relationships, networks. So for somebody who is introverted, for someone who doesn't really, not because they don't want to relate, but they don't just know how to. So how would you advise such a person to build network? And how can you build a good network? Or maybe I'm at a phase in my life where I found that, looking back, I haven't built, a good network. So how do I start to build my stuff?
Okay. All right, good question. I'm not sure majority of you will believe me if I say 2 things about myself. You won't believe if I say to you that I'm shy. And you won't believe if I also say that I'm an introvert. Believe me, those 2, very true about me. So, even now, but the reality is the books that I read, making reference to them again, they said to me a long time ago that for me to cut short the journey to success, I can't stay in a small corner and say that I'm an introvert. Within your introverted nature, you can still build quality networks. I don't go anywhere. I don't do socials. I mean, I can't remember the last time I was at any social event. I rarely go. But the network that I've built over the years, of course, it will take a while. It will take process. But don't start the journey by saying, I'm an introvert. I can't build a network. Introverts still build solid networks. Within your introverted space, what professional networks can you build? I am very active on social media. I'm in several WhatsApp groups. That is where I actually network. So if you check me literally almost every time, I could be online on WhatsApp, right? Engaging in conversations here and there. I have a network, the YF network. I have about 200 people in a WhatsApp group that I mentor, the YF Academy. So I'm constantly engaging. Meanwhile, I am an introvert. I don't go anywhere. So within the space that you are, the world is not looking for introverts in their corners. The world is looking for introverts who are still collaborating with others to make changes around the world. So don't stay in your corner and say, I'm an introvert. Don't leave the world to extroverts only. We need everybody. The world needs everybody. So whatever energy you can tap from extroverts, by all means. But let extroverts also tap some energy from you. Even if it's your intellectual conversation in a particular WhatsApp group, let people know that you are the go-to person when it comes to this subject. Because I know some people are introverts in real life, and then when they go to groups that are virtual, they still stay in their corners. I see people will see them and bully them. It's a virtual world. You know what I mean? So please don't stay in your corner, right? Within your introverted space, still continue to build quality networks. They yield great dividends. All right? Thank you.
Right, so I have 2 more questions, and that will be all for this session, please.
Somebody here? There's a gentleman here. No, it's fine. Go on. Okay, sure. I mean, perfectly understood. So it's a balance of both. I found myself in an organization, for instance, where I didn't think I was going to work. And I spent, I'm not going to tell you what organization. Eventually, I spent 1 year, 10 days in that organization. But in those 1 year, 10 days, believe me, nobody within the organization knew I was unhappy or I was not passionate about the job. I got to work every day at 6 a.m. in that same organization. And guess what? The job that came after was because I worked in that organization. You see what I mean? So, yes, it is good for us to aspire to do something else. It is good for us to look for the things we are passionate about. But we can't do all of that at the expense of not doing today's job very well. I mean, if you're also a Bible student, it is only when you have done today's job very well, when you've invested your current talents and you are making returns on it for the master, that is when the master will give you more to do. You can't be lingering and be looking for more talents. Meanwhile, the one in your hands has not been invested enough to give dividends. So you've got to have a balance of, okay, this is not the organization I want to be in. This is not the job that I want to do. However, whatever you find your hand to do it well. I think you can hear, yeah? Okay. I think I mitigated mine by preparation. by doing something. So if you stay in the place of, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail, ultimately we might find ourselves failing. But if the conversation is, I don't want to fail, what should I do to not fail? And then you move from where you are to where you want to be on a constant, gradual basis, you will see that you'll be achieving little things, and the little successes will be a kind of comfort to let you know that you're on the way to the journey. But if you sit in the place of, I'm not going to do anything because I have a fear of failure, and fear ties you down to not do anything, you are likely to be overwhelmed, you are likely to not do anything, and you are likely to fail ultimately. Don't forget that if you try something and fail, like I said earlier on, don't let that be a deterrent to not do again. If you want to climb, if I want to climb to the pulpit right now, if I miss my steps here, I could have a sprained ankle. It's not impossible, right? But if I look back and realize, how did I climb and how did it lead to me falling, I've learned. But you know what? I have learned how to make this step. The next thing is how to make the next one. So if I tried and I failed, I am no longer on ground zero. My learning has taken me to the next level. And that next level is the place where I'm celebrating little successes and showing that I am on a journey towards achieving something. So you wanted to make a first class, for instance, and you made a 2-1. I mean, not bad. You wanted to make a 2-1, you made a 2-2. Not bad, right? But not going to school at all to even make anything because of the fear of failure is where we don't want to be. So it's going to be a gradual journey, but don't stay in the place where you are just envisioning or you are just dreaming or you are held down by fear. You've got to do things incrementally on a daily basis. And the little things that you achieve will give you some sort of comfort. Okay? We have the last person. Okay.
Thank everyone for Sunday. Thank you, sir, for this privilege to ask questions. We can talk about we not being too comfortable in our comfort zone. Now, I want to ask, I want to really make a discussion about this comfort zone. And secondly, what should we expect when we leave our comfort zone?
Okay, so I should talk a bit more about not staying in comfort zone. Comfort zone is, number one, where you moan and groan for 29 days, and on the 30th day you collect your salary and you do TGIF. And on Monday morning you go back to it because at least 30 days something will come out. That's comfort zone. You can do something. I mean, I always try to give an analogy. I see that from a career perspective, the opportunities that exist for us will be like an entire podium here. But where we are right now, it might be one small corner of the world. But the potentials are many. So if you stay here and stay here and stay here because of the things you're getting, and you stay there, and you're constantly looking at the mirror at yourself, you're not looking at the window at other opportunities, that's comfort zone. I work in an organization, and I need to be careful. I don't want people to guess. So towards my maybe last month of exit, I had a leadership training for people at the call center. About 10 to 12 of them were seated around me and we're having a conversation. And when it was time for question, 3-4 of them said, what should I do? I've been in this organization for 14 years, 16 years, and 18 years. What should I do? I feel that I've wasted my time and all that. And in my head, I'm thinking, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 7, year 10, 12, 14. And your salary is even up to 2 million naira gross. I'm not kidding. 2 million naira per annum. And you're still there. Isn't that comfort zone? That's comfort zone. In that same 14 years, I counted that I had worked in about 5 or 6 organizations. You see, we need to be careful with the daily grind of our lives, that it doesn't hold us down to where we are. And that is if we are not driven by a vision, by a passion to succeed. You've got to combine what you have today with positive energy about where you want to be before things begin to happen. I meet so many people every day. In my current organization, I know people who have been there for 35 years. In fact, my company is 61 years today. We started bottling October 1, 1960. So we are 61 today. I promise you, I know people who have been there for 35 years. And then they walk into my office to show me my unhappiness. But I need to be careful to ask them, even you, what are you doing here? Do you understand what I'm saying? Comfort zone is where we are getting the things that are making us a bit comfortable. And we are therefore afraid to leave those things to seek other things, other opportunities. That's comfort zone. It's okay. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, it's not enough. I mean, yeah, I'm still getting loans here. It's okay. I'm still getting my salary is regular. I was talking to someone who's been there for 15 years as a graduate, and salary not up to. That was a conversation I had with you. Luckily, Lara is here on Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday morning. She's been there for 15 years, and salary is just about not yet 2 million naira. Gross, 15 years, a graduate. Amazing, isn't it? And then I said, okay, in addition to me doing whatever I can do to have a conversation about you changing your salary, maybe we should start looking out. Can you send your CV to me? The first thing is, but here there is job security. Tuesday. Today is what, Friday, 3 days ago. I immediately called Lara because we're in the same industry. And I said, there's somebody who works in this environment, I put it on speaker so she could hear that opportunities exist outside of comfort zone. And I called her and I put it on. And I said, please send the CV to me. But the first thing that came out of her was, but here there is job security. That is comfort zone. The things that we think are small, getting to us, limited and all that, but at least they are regular. At least I'm getting by. That's comfort zone. Within the same 15 years, so she joined in 2006. Yeah, 2006. Between then and now, I know people who have changed jobs. And please, comfort zone, let me also say this. Don't limit yourself anymore to your local environment. The opportunities exist. As I speak to you now, I know somebody in my inner circle who's joined Heineken as Global Talent Development Manager, overseeing Middle East, Africa, and Europe. And she's sitting in Amsterdam, a Nigerian. Probably made a 2-2, not first class or 2-1. But an opportunity came up. She went for it, did the interviews, got ready because she wasn't talking about comfort zone. Believe me, she was working at Diageo. And that job was great. Very good. Just about 2 years at Diageo, Guinness. But this opportunity came, and as we speak now, she's in Amsterdam. Overseeing 3 continents. A Nigerian, not 40 years yet. Woman, married, with 2 boys. But no 2 heads. Same thing. As I talk to you now, I know a guy who's on the way to New York. Another guy in my inner circle has worked with me twice. An advert came up, the United Nations, looking for performance specialists. He applied, and he got the job. I got an email from United Nations about 3-4 weeks ago telling me to write a reference for him. He's on his way sitting in New York, a Nigerian. Are there opportunities globally? Are there opportunities locally? Yes. Are there opportunities globally? Yes. I'm standing here by God's grace to tell you that during the pandemic of last year, May 4 last year, was when I resumed the job. As in, we were in lockdown, remember? From April into May. We lifted the lockdown May 4 or May 5, which was a Monday. That was the day I walked into another job. March 17 this year, the pandemic is still on, right? I walked into another job. I've just given you examples of 3 people. I could have said, no, there is pandemic around. The one that I was doing last year, let me continue to, nobody's chasing me anyway. We must have an abundance mentality. Even more so as people, I don't want to say just Christians, as people who believe in a supreme outlook, abundance mentality that, hey, there's something about, boy, it starts with us. That, hey, there's something about, boy, it starts with us. There's a place for prayers, there's a place for visioning, there's a place for action, there's a place for risk, there's a place for sacrifices. Okay, what was the second question? I can talk a lot.
Okay, I asked if there are disadvantages of one living his or comfort zone.
Yes, there are. You can leave your comfort zone and fail. You can leave your comfort zone and it may not work out exactly as you think it will be. But hey, if you want to sail, the elements are not going to always be favorable. But are we going to sail? Yes, we must. The fact that accidents happen every day, do people still travel? Do people still drive? So the elements are not always going to be favorable, but we've got to sail. You leave your comfort zone, it doesn't work out, you learn from it, you plan again, and you move on. If you want to learn how to move from job to job, I'll teach you. Thank you very much. You have a skill you're not passionate about. How did you acquire the skill in the first instance? Maybe like what?
First.
Oh, it was forced on you. Okay. Okay. So you're not passionate about it, but you have the skill. Okay. So what's the question? Okay. So you're on a journey. Okay. Don't evaluate yourself based on where you are only. Like I said, you're on a journey. So you need to balance both, right? You've got a skill, you're not passionate about it. Okay, I'm doing a job, I'm not passionate about it, but on payday, I'm collecting salary. But I'm not passionate about it. I once said that you might not be passionate about, your job might not be your passion, but be passionate about your job. Because it's a bit unfair to your employer to be passionate about the salary or whatever income you are getting, but you are not passionate about the job. You see what I mean? You've got to marry it. Again, this is going to be unique to you. All the things you've listened to today, right? Go and find time, about 2 a.m., 1 a.m. in the morning. Wake up yourself and say, let's have a personal conference. How does this really apply to me? What's really my vision? What's my purpose? What do I want to be? You need to find yourself in your own contextual journey. Looks to me like you are still on that journey to identify who you are, what's your purpose, what do you want to do. But please, along the line of finding solutions or answers to that, don't neglect where you are right now. The thing that you said you have skills in, but not passionate about, 5 years' time, somebody is calling you and saying, I met you there 5 years ago. I enjoyed what you did for me. Please come and do something for me. You must always find opportunities to connect the dots of life. They might not make sense to us right now, but ultimately when we connect the dots, life makes full sense. Okay? All right. Thank you.
And that will be all. Thank you very much, sir. A round of applause, please. All right, so we'll welcome the worship team to take us on the music interlude for 5 minutes, and after that we'll be back. Thank you very much. Okay, so right now we'll be going into the panel discussion, and I'd like to invite on stage our very own Sister Teju. Round of applause, please. She's the moderator, and I'd like her to invite the panelists.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I was in the morning. Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I feel like everyone is so tied up in the house. Like, I want to just smile. Like, just smile. Like, smile. It's going to relax you a lot. Welcome. My name is Tejumadi Adepelume, and today we'll be having a panel discussion. You don't want to miss this. Already, I've gained a lot. In fact, I feel like the question in my mind, I have it answered already. So how many of you are so excited? Like you're like, are you excited like for being here? Are you excited? Can you just wave your hands in the air that I'm excited? These are the kinds of conferences some conferences that you could have to pay like a lot of dollars for, you know, but you just have this on a platter of gold. So I want to thank my daddy, Pastor Yori Guru, for this great opportunity. Thank you, Daddy. So very quickly, we have awesome, amazing panelists in the house. I mean, when I started to read up about them, I'm like, oh my God, like, I started shaking. I mean, they are top personnel from different industries. And please, I want to implore you that as I welcome them on stage, please just do what to appreciate the value that these people are adding to our community, to our nation, and to the world at large. So, first on the list, I'll be welcoming Mr. Kende Salami. He is a serial entrepreneur, the managing director and CEO Ideas House. I mean, when I saw the word serial entrepreneur, I'm like, yeah, like serial. Welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. You know, and his company, the Ideas House, is all about marketing solutions. You can know that you are in for a great time today. And I'm going to be inviting on stage the awesome Mrs. Lara Yeko. She is a global HR leader. She is an author, a certified coach. Can I also make mention that Mr. Salami is also an author? He authored a book titled To Every Man a Brain. So you know you're in for a good time. And I have also Mr. Bolaji Akimboboye. He's also a seasoned entrepreneur. I mean, he's an amazing person. He has worked with a big 4 firm in Nigeria. And, oh my God, I need anointing. Yes, and last I have Dr. Adamson. We have a medical practitioner in the house. So please make welcome Dr. Adamson. He's a dentist. Oh, yeah. And please, let me make mention that you should start preparing your questions now. Start preparing, be open because you're going to learn a lot. So be open and start preparing your questions because you're going to have a little time for questions and answers. Thank you. Come on, give it up for yourself. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself. Is this how well you can appreciate yourself? Thank you. You're welcome, Taz Amash. Thank you for choosing and deciding to be on this panel. Very quickly, we've had a wonderful session with Mr. Yemi Fashewu. I mean, that was relatable and practical. So I would also like, very briefly, Mr. Kenny Salamisa, can you also say something very briefly about the future of work, the employability skills in the post-COVID era? Is there something you could just have to add to it, sir? Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Pastor, for inviting me. And thank you also, Yemi, for a fantastic presentation. You know, I think for me, the first thing I'd like to say is this. I left Nigeria at the age of 12. I was away for 20 years. So I came back to this country 20 years ago or 19 years ago. I'm 50 now, okay? So I've lived half my life outside Nigeria, half my life in Nigeria. And when I was leaving, the first question everybody was asking me then was, why do you want to go back to Nigeria? And I'm making this very practical. I was 26 when I bought my first house in the UK. So I had a house, I had 2 cars, the same car, 2 different colors, because I liked the car so much. Just to show you how wasteful I was. I didn't have any reason whatsoever to want to come back to Nigeria. Because I had what a 26, 27-year-old guy would need. I had money, I had a fantastic job. But I resigned. I resigned based on a sermon by my late pastor, Tayo Adeyemi, of New Wine Church. And his sermon at that time, that was in 2001, consider the matter and understand the vision. The matter is what you are going through. The vision is God has a bigger purpose for your life. I took that on board, and I left because I felt that sermon was talking to me. I had everything a young chap could ever wish for, but there was one thing missing. I was not fulfilled. Fulfillment was what I was after. So I came back to Nigeria in 2001, I was thereabouts, 2002. And people were asking me, even my fiancé at the time, why are you crazy to come and do what? I said, Nigeria, for me, gives you an open piece of paper, a white piece of paper, and it asks you, write whatever you want on it. So I decided, I came back, I wrote what I wanted to write, and I had 7 job offers, and I picked the one that paid the least amount of money because I wasn't looking for money. So I was looking for purpose and fulfillment. 20 years later, the story has changed. Wow. So when you talk about employability skills and Nigeria context, you are born at the best time you could ever have been born.
Yes, sir.
This country is going to be great. This country will give all that you desire as long as you have a plan and a purpose and you work towards God's plan for your life. So you need to get prepared, like Yemi said, and it's the little baby steps that you must start taking and the deliberate and intentional decisions that you must start making from not tomorrow, today. Because tomorrow is history. Today is an opportunity, whilst the future is a mystery. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So I feel like in the house, this might also be a message for someone. If you're considering traveling out of the country, maybe you could also consider to stay back in Nigeria, a beautiful country, and decide to rewrite the story of your life. I mean, it's a living testimony. So maybe this message is also for somebody in the house. Thank you. Okay, yes, ma, Mrs. Lara Yoko. Just speaking briefly also to the same, the future work and yes. Yes, ma.
Good morning, church. Thank you so much, Pastor, for the invitation to be here. I mean, listening to Mr. Fashion's presentation, he's pretty much said everything. I'll just try and share my own story just to further bring it home. Talking about employability skills. So as a young girl, I wanted to study medicine because my mom wanted to be a doctor. Unfortunately, she ended up being a pharmacist. Being our only girl child then, she wanted me to live her dreams. And because I loved my mom so much, I picked up sciences just to sort of, okay, yeah, my parents, you're paying for my school fees, this is what you want from me, then I would live your dream. Then during JAM, I did well in sciences, but JAM kept jamming me. I think I did JAM about 3 times or so. Eventually, I had about 250 or so, and I wanted to enter Unilag. Then someone called my parents, we're in Ibadan then, and said, do you know someone in Unilag? Do you have connection in Unilag? My parents said, no. You better look for somewhere else that you have connection. Admission into Unilag is very competitive, and because we're from a very average family, so my parents then ended up going to LASSO because that was where they got connection, and they gave me biochemistry, even though I had a very strong JAM cutoff mark. Anyway, down the line, I read biochemistry, gave it my best because I wanted to make my parents proud. Anyone here taking any course because your parents wanted you to take that course? Anyone here?
I was rebellious.
Oh, great. Yeah, so there are some courses you take just because your parents want you to take those courses. Okay, 4 years down the line, I finished from university and I ended up in a laboratory in some organization. I practiced with my biochemistry in the laboratory for 1 year. Any biochemist in the house? Any biochemist? Okay, we don't have biochemists here. Anyway, I practiced with my biochemistry degree in the laboratory of an organization. And after 1 year, I got tired because it was routine. It wasn't bringing out the creativity in me. And that speaks to the fulfillment that we just heard. I wasn't finding fulfillment in my degree. And a lot of times, I thought to myself, what can I do with my biochemistry degree? So sometimes we read certain courses that we do not want, and then we limit ourselves to that course. I'm here to let you know that that course does not limit who you will become in future. It's just a stepping stone that required you at that moment in time to give your best, like Mr. Fashion spoke about excellence, reading and studying to grow your knowledge base. 1 year down the line, to cut the story short, I said, no, I'm no longer taking this. This is biochemistry certificate. Please take it, put it aside. Who do I want to be? How do I find fulfillment in my career? Then I observed what I love to do, talking about career purpose and passion. I took some time with myself to understand, Lara, what do you love to do? What do you enjoy doing? And I found that I love relating with people. I love helping and supporting people. Then I got exposed to people in the HR department in a company that I'd worked with when I was in laboratory then. And afterwards, I said, okay, I think I'd like to pursue a career in human resources because I could feel that it would enable me put my passion to use, which is solving problems and helping people. Down the line, I started looking for a job. I remember way back in those days, very minimal internet connection. So I'll print my CVs, and on the island, I'll work from one company to another company to another company to another company, dropping my CVs at the reception. Finally, I got the help of a mentor. So I'm going to speak a bit about mentoring. Mentors are really important. They help guide us in our career journey. So a lot of times you see uncles and aunties, and they are wondering, how can I benefit from them? First, if you're seeking a mentor, be a person of value. Volunteer to help or support them in one way or the other. So there was a lady in my church, a woman in my church way back then. I loved how she relates with people. So I went to her and I told her I wanted her to be my mentor. She asked me to come meet her in her office. I did. She asked me to open her card book. I mean, there was this card holder way back in those days where you put a lot of business cards, card holders, but everything is digitalized now. She would ask me to, okay, go through it, and I leveraged on my mentor's network. Mr. Fashion spoke a lot about network. Even if you are shy, it can be one person, one connection that would lead you to your breakthrough. I got a referral from her, and I went to this company. I did an interview. They offered me a job. The pay wasn't great. I was living at Iju-Isha Garden, and the office was on Admiralty in VI. The pay wasn't great. I took up the job because I wanted to learn. Clear vision of where I wanted to be. I'm trying to bring this home to relate it to my experience so that you guys can understand. I had a vision where I wanted to be. I wanted to be an HR professional. I wasn't given an HR job. I was given an admin job, admin officer role. I took it up, even though my vision was HR. And in my admin role, I gave it my best. When Mr. Fashion was talking about excellence, someone had also asked the question earlier when he had mentioned, what if you are in a role, you have a skill you don't like? I didn't like admin, and that's the honest truth, but I gave it my best. I learned from it. In that organization, I got the best employee for that year. And then there was a vacancy later on in HR. They considered me because I had done admin well, so they moved me to HR. Some like to talk about employability skills. Your skills are your values that you bring to the world. In my second job at DHL, I wanted to join an international company called Accenture. I reached out to someone, sent my CV to Accenture, nobody answered me. So sometimes you send CVs around and no one responds to you. I've been there. However, something happened. I was staying with my uncle in Lagos because my parents were in Ibadan, who was an accountant, and I picked an interest in Excel. I love data, I love numbers, I love chunking data. Anytime he comes from work, I'll go to him and say, Uncle, please teach me Excel. He'll take his time, teach me Excel. I'll go through his manual. I was self-teaching myself Excel skills. A couple of months down the line, someone reached out to me and said Accenture was looking for an HR analyst with Excel skills. And I was asked, do you have Excel skills? I said yes, even though I was still self-teaching myself. Then I was told to come and take an assessment. 3 days I did not sleep. I was learning Excel, learning online, reading and reading, preparing for that interview. I went for the interview, did the Excel assessment, and I was hired. I was hired because I had built a skill. Sometimes when we want to move from that base, when Mr. Fashion was asking us to draw a triangle in our mind, when we want to move from that base upward, you have to look for your differentiating factor. And what will be your differentiating factor is your skill. The skills that enables you to bring value on the table. Linking it to employability skills, opportunities that abound, like Mr. Fashion equally said, now it is no longer local, it is global. But what will be your differentiating factor to qualify you for international job are your skills? Then I would like to hinge it on digitalization tools. So sometimes you have skills, but how do you now bring your skills to the world? And that is where you leverage on technology. We are in a highly technology-driven world right now. Rather than spend your time on social media and flipping through TikToks, a lot of videos. Be intentional with your content that you put out there, because that is what also showcases your skill and your value to the world. Identify what you want to become, have a clear vision, learn the right skills you need to learn, and of course, leverage on digital, on tools that can help empower and propel you forward. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, ma. Thank you. I mean, my book is full already. I hope this is, I mean, I feel like when I was in the university, if I had this kind of opportunity, maybe I would have been able to make some better decisions. So I hope you're jotting down and you're open. So one of the things that resonated with me is you need to find yourself. She spoke about finding herself, even though she had, studied biochemistry, but at some point she knew she needed to know, who am I? For her to know what she has to chase after and vision. So that also resonated with me, and I hope, somebody got that and noted that down. So thank you so very much, ma. Thank you. Now on to Mr. Bolaji Akimboboye. Don't worry, we are not going to. Okay, so you were a chartered accountant and started off as an high flyer in the professional field. So I'd like to ask, please, describe your career experience with us and what inspired your journey to become an entrepreneur. So I can imagine, being already at that peak of your career, working in the Big Four organization, and then snap, you just decided, I think I want to become an entrepreneur. So what inspired that? Thank you.
Thanks for that question. Sometime in 1998, I visited a friend, Yemi Akinola, and I discovered that his late dad had a library. And there was a book I picked up there, Ideas That Became Big Business by Clinton Woods, published in 1958. And I read all of the stories in there, and they were all stories about entrepreneurship. And when I got the chance, I couldn't actually locate the book to buy my own copy. So when I got the chance in January of 2001, all my pocket money for that month, I used it in making copies of that book. And I kept reading it over and over again. And I discovered that for there to be economic prosperity for individuals, families, and nations, there has to be a great charge on entrepreneurship. So since 2001, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But, so I went to school, Federal Polytechnic there, and I was studying accountancy. And then we had to go for 1 year IT. So 2003, I kept applying to all the Big Four and every accounting firm. But I eventually got a space in 6 months after. But I met people at that time. I met people who were my seniors. But I discovered that what I was taught in school was totally different from what I met there. Now,
sorry to cut you in, sir. So that means the real life is different from the life in class. Let me just tell you. Because even today, I feel like what we're being taught, the way they carry it on their head, especially our lecturers, you feel like that is all there is to the world. There is a difference between the classroom life and the real life experience. Sorry to cut you in, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I was with Akitola Williams Deloitte at that time, and they also had a library. And I was always reading in that library. And I made sure that I stayed close to the people I met there, whether I was in tax, okay? And everybody I met there, the partners, I made sure that I stayed close to everybody. And, the Bible did say in Hebrews 7:7 that of no contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. So in 2005, when I had the opportunity, a free time, I went back to Deloitte to offer my time for free. And I told them that all your letters, computation, whatever thing you want me to do, I will do them. And I wasn't collecting any salary. I wasn't getting any pay or reimbursable for going on trips to deliver letters. I did all that for free. Now, 2006, I was done with school. 2007, I was going to serve. I wanted to just go to Port Harcourt and start my entrepreneurship journey. But there was one woman, Mrs. Dazuza. She said, you will not go anywhere. You will work with us. And then there was Mr. Adeniji also that, no, you have to work with us. We loved the way you worked. So I worked with Deloitte. I left Deloitte. 3 months before I completed my NYSC, I was given an employment letter. I was retained. because of the passion I put, doing the work. After Deloitte, I was referred to Saffron. From there, I was I was seconded to Xenon, retained in Xenon, went to Forte, went to Ascension, professional services. Then I was really now tired. I wanted to now do my thing, pursue entrepreneurship. So in January 11th of January 2017, I got the go from God, where he took me through the life of Jacob, in Jacob 30 verse 25, where Jacob said, pay me my salary, give me my wife and child, let me go. And Laban said...
So, I'm sorry at the time. So you felt like at that point you were so convinced.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what the people around you were saying, just like this was what I wanted, and it's time for me to go.
To go, yes, absolutely. And that was what I did at that time. So I submitted my resignation on the 23rd of January 2017, and I waited. I was supposed to give 3-month notice. But I threw in 4 months. I coached everybody I had to coach. I showed them everything I'd done. I took them through everything I'd done. At that time, there was a transfer pricing audit I was on. I made sure that I completed it to a point. And as at that time, I was even still suffering panic attacks, because I was overwhelmed with work, but I still gave in my best. When it was time to go, in the history of that firm, I was the first person to ever be sent off. I'm giving prizes and say, okay, we really liked how you worked and all that. So May 2nd, 2017, I went into entrepreneurship.
Wow, that is amazing. Come on, can you just give your, do you know what it means to resign from, to be, and Mr. Kende Salami also talked about that. It's no joke, to make those kinds of decisions, it's so applaudable. And I don't know if you've been noticing, from what Mr. Kende Salami said, Mrs. Lara Yeko and Mr. Bola Boboye, they've been talking about, even Mr. Yemi Fasheun, they've been talking about whatever you find your aunt's doing, do it well. At the point that it was, it was doing it well, she was doing it well, it was doing it well. And at the same time, they had their future, they had their vision, their dreams and aspirations. So wherever you find yourself now, do it well. I have my own personal, one of the things I do is wherever I find myself, add value. Because I don't want you to meet me in the future and say, oh, when this girl was here, or when this lady was here, I want you to, just know that adding value should be your priority wherever you find yourself. Thank you. This is amazing. His personality looks so quiet, and I feel like going quiet and calm also. You're welcome, sir. I feel like saying something, My aunt is a nurse, and then she works in the medical space, and she has so many doctors around, and a lot of times she'll say, oh, can we be, I just feel like giving one of these doctors, maybe you can just marry them, I'm like, no, excuse me, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. So, sir, it's amazing having you here. And I have a question for you. When we were younger, how if you have a group of children here and they say, what would you like to become? And they will say, I'd like to be a doctor. That's the first. I would like to be a lawyer. I would like to be a nurse. It's so common. And I believe that it's because people perceive that career to be, it's juicy. The pay you get, the joy of every parent is that, you go to school and then you come back and then you are fine. You can pay your bills and all of that. But the question today is, even people want to do that because they perceive it is juicy and all of those things. But beyond this perception, what really does it entail to be a medical practitioner? Who is truly a medical practitioner? What does it entail? Thank you, sir. So it's just a no first.
Thank you very much for the question.
Yeah.
To be a medical practitioner, to start with me, one thing that I always thank my father for is that when we're young, it tells you to be yourself. We had five boys, and said each one of you is different. You understand yourself. When I was in school, my roommates would tell you that if you read the way I read, you fail. I read on my bed, I read for 2 hours, and I'm done for the day. And that's me. So one thing my father taught me is that you first have to be yourself and understand who you are, and don't ever copy another.
That's a message for someone against coming again. Understand who you are. Thank you.
And to choose the medical profession for me was my choice. My father, my jam for my field myself. My father paid for it, and whatever you feel in there, I support you. So I picked it myself. So to be a medical person in this, in Nigeria, let me use Nigeria for now, right? It's, I wouldn't say it's both juicy and also challenging, to be frank with you, okay? It takes a lot of, you have to be resilient. For the younger ones, one of them is here, you know. For the younger ones, you just have to have a vision of what you want to become as a doctor. When I was in med school, I already had an idea of me being in this position that I'm in right now. That I want to do this and that and that, and I give myself timeline. In 10 years' time, I want to be a young consultant. In so years' time, I want to be the best in this specialty in the country, and that's it. So for you to be a doctor, right, you have to be resilient and know that, look, initially, it's not juicy. Do you understand? Yes. Initially, it's not, but what keeps you going is that you have a vision of where you want to go to, and you have to work hard. And no matter what I tell people, is that for a doctor in Nigeria, right, people say there's no money in it, but it's a lie. There's a big money in it.
There is big money in it.
Big money in it. What I said with that, as a doctor, first thing you have to know is that your patients are your advertisement, purely. That attitude, like I tell my students, I teach also, I'm a lecturer too, and to go against what you say, what you teach matters for doctors.
Amazing.
Yeah. So your attitude actually determines how far you get to for the medical field. Look, when I learned that was when I was a student. There was the time I had a patient. I was in loose as a student. I had a patient, and we had light issues, power issues. There was power outage. I couldn't treat the patient. But I sat down with the patient, talked with her, gisted with her, made her comfortable, got her water. When she was going, she was like, "Doctor, I love coming to see you." She gave me money then. I was like, wow. I didn't treat this woman, but she was happy that she met me. That means for a medical person, your attitude is important. The way you talk, the way you interact with people, the way you are respectful to your patients, even when you have complications, they will thank you for that. So if I tell people about medicine, you have to be resilient, know yourself, and also attitude is everything. It's everything. As in, how far you can go in the medical field is based mainly on your attitude. Your skill matters. And the skill in the medical field is almost universal. There's a little difference between one doctor here and another doctor here when it comes to skill. But the difference that lingers in the patient's mind and their families is purely how they were treated. This doctor, this doctor, I'm comfortable with him. That's all. I like the way you are. I'm comfortable and keeps coming back. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That reminds me of, let me just tell a little story. When I was in school, and then when you go to the health center, the nurses there, once you get in, the first question they ask you is, are you pregnant? I mean, it's always so very annoying. You come with malaria symptoms and they say, hope is not that you are pregnant. Okay, go and do PT test first. And I'm like, what? Then there was just only one woman who stood out. She will treat you well, and you know, you always want to. So attitude matters. If you're here, you're aspiring to become a medical doctor, attitude, the way you treat your patients. I mean, everyone wants to be treated elegantly. I mean, well, everyone wants to be respected. You would treat people the way you want them to treat you. And also, one thing you also mentioned is understand your why. Don't aspire to be a medical doctor because they say so. Don't aspire to become a medical doctor because the pay is juicy, even though it is juicy. Why do I want to? Because in the challenging times, the why is what will keep you going. Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Adamson, for those gem words. God bless you. Now to Mr. Kenny Salami, I'm looking forward to having a copy of his book. After now, God, I pray I'm lucky He gives me. Okay, so I've been looking forward to ask you this question. I've been looking forward to ask you, because when you see a successful person, aside from, taking selfies, oh, I met this person today, I met that person today, sit down and ask, how did he do it? How did she do it? I mean, taking the big step to resign your duties, everything you had, and say, oh, this is where I'm coming to. What are the core values that have helped you all along to this place that you are today? Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think I live by 3 fundamental values.
I'm sorry to cut you in, sir. Very, very sorry. Please start preparing your questions, because we'll soon, this is the last round of questions, so please start jotting down your questions. We'll give opportunity to just 5 persons, so please start putting down your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I live by 3 core values. The first one, professionalism and integrity. I think that's very, very important. I say it all the time. When I came back in 2002, I worked at a marketing company. It's a global company that was present in 54 countries, and I rose to become the CEO of that company, yeah? In 2009, I resigned from that company to go and set up my own practice. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And the first brief that we received at that time, that was in 2009, it was a 77 million naira project, purely based on my reputation. Okay, we didn't pitch for it, we didn't, chase for the project, but it was given to us within 3 days of starting a new business. I didn't even have staff. But what I'm trying to bring out is your biggest trading currency, especially in the service field, is what? Your reputation. Who is he? Can we trust him? Will he deliver? Are you with me? So for me, professionalism and integrity, number 1. The second one is a sense of urgency. You've got to be hungry. You've got to have that fire in your belly. Every day you wake up. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
There's something I call mad. Every day I wake up, I want to go and make a difference. What is the value that I want to go and give to the brands that have been put under my care? Do you understand? Yes, so, sense of urgency in everything you do. The third one is commitment to continuous improvement. You may not know it all, but you must be committed to improve on a daily basis in the field you find yourself in. So those are the top 3. I've recently added a 4th one, which is you must act like an owner.
Act like an owner.
You must. If you're working in an organization, for example, don't say, I'm only a staff here. Act as if that business belongs to you. Do you understand? Yes, if you have that mentality, you will not treat the assets of that organization anyhow. You will not treat the people that you interact with anyhow. You will not treat the relationships that you develop and the networks with time anyhow. Because why? You have an ownership mentality, which is different from a servitude mentality.
I'm so sorry to cut you in that what you talked about, act like have the mentality of an owner. But you find out today that most people are at a job because they just want the money. I'm not interested, I just want the money. I just want the money. So whether there's this adage in Yoruba, I'm sorry if you're not a Yoruba person, say, Ogata, Ogauta, Owala, Roma, so it's not my business, anything. So how do you think people can actually, because we've talked about, how some people say, oh, this is not my passion, but I'm just finding myself at this job, I'm just trying to. So how can people grow, develop that mentality of acting, like taking whatever they find themselves doing, like this is my own, it belongs to me?
I think, again, it's really down to personal discipline and focus. Do you understand? When we recruit and we do a lot of all these talent hunts and stuff, and we're trying to bring people into the business, there's always one fundamental HR practice that we have, right? Yes. Which is we train for skills, right? But we hire for talent. Are you a talented individual? Forget the skills. The skills, in 6 months, I will turn you into a superstar. But there are certain fundamental talents that you must bring on board when we do the interview process. Things around passion, around attitude. I cannot teach you that. Do you get what I'm saying? Those are things that you must have and be willing to trade with when you come on board. So we hire for talent and skills, talent and attitude, and we train for skills. So for me, it's got to be in you from the word go. And our parents can only do so much. Okay? Our parents can only do so much. You have to have that personal commitment. You understand? Yes, you know, for me, my story has not been like maybe a lot of other people and all that. I started working at the age of 14. Wow. I was delivering newspapers. Wow. My first day, I didn't get the addresses right. You didn't have Google Maps and all those stuff. And I dropped newspapers in the wrong houses. Wow. Do you understand? I came back home and I was crying. My mother said to me, what happened? I told her that I failed. She told me then, you did not fail, you only learned. Do you understand? So, where is your money for your first day of work? I said, I was too embarrassed to go and collect it, even though they offered it. So, she said, you are very stupid. You go back, you go and collect that money, do you understand? And then you move forward. Meanwhile, my father at the time had said to us that you will not work. Any amount of money they want to give you, I will pay. Stay at home and be recording cartoon. He had a new wife with some children, you know. So, but my mother said, no, these boys must work. We have 6 boys. And all of us, from the age of 13, 14, we have started the grind. So, like Yemi and the other speakers have been saying, the success story you see now is only one side of the coin. You don't know what we've gone through to get to where we are. So you've got to have that personal sacrifice, that desire, you know, and that excellence within you to be the best in your own chosen endeavor.
Thank you. So please, can we give it up for Mr. Kende Salami? That was awesome. Thank you. Now to Mrs. Lara Yoko. I also pray I will get a copy of your book today too. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so I love your story because it was a story of, you just wanted to, okay, my parents, I honor you, I want to do this. And at the point, you feel like, I think this is not for me. I want to go after what I really want. So how can one determine, like at that point, how can you determine this is the best career path for me? How were you able to do it? Because I know we have a lot of young people here today. Okay, maybe I should do this. Some could even be considering, you know, studying at and changing their course or something. So how can I determine the best career path for me? Because I believe that is also one of the ways you can build a successful career. Yes, thank you, Ma.
Thanks for that question. So I always tell people that our career is a major part of our lives. Some people think your career is a job. Oh, okay, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor. And I say to people, your job is a fundamental part of your career. There's a difference between your profession and then your career. I would explain further. When you talk about career speaks to what you do in terms of how you give of yourself to your world. Looking at it from the context of how are you bringing value to the world. We have so many ways we bring value to the world. For instance, some people have chosen a career path in music, to be musicians. Some people have chosen career paths in the corporate industry. Some have chosen to be entrepreneurs, you know. So all of those together defines your career. It's not a job per se. Now, people come and ask, so how do I know what career path is great for me? Mr. Fashion mentioned earlier on the need for you to discover your life's purpose. It starts with understanding, why are you in this world? What are you in this world to do? What value or what problem do you want to solve in this world? Then what profession, what skill, what knowledge do you need to equip yourself so that you can be in a career path that gives you fulfillment? Still talking about career path, I had mentioned earlier that I discovered I wanted to go into human resources. But guess what? Six years down into my HR profession, I was doing very well at work. One of the high flyers at work. But 6 years down the line, I started finding that I was no longer finding fulfillment in my career. And I said to myself, okay, Lara, you wanted to work with people, you wanted to help organizations solve problems through people, but you are doing that, but how come you are still feeling stuck and you are still feeling you're not fulfilled in it? Then I took another step back to reflect. And what I found out was I had limited my career then only to my organization. I said, okay, this is what I want to do with people, but I limited it to the organization, not to the entire world. Then I discovered an opportunity for me to be able to do more and give more of myself beyond my organization. That was when I discovered coaching as a tool for me to be able to reach out to more people, and I started leveraging on social media as well to reach out to more people. So it's you finding what works for you. Our stories are different, our career paths are different. And with digitalization now and the new normal that we're in, we have a lot of people creating careers from so many beautiful things. I'll tell a story of my mentor who has 2 daughters. The first daughter, she wanted the first daughter to be an accountant. Unfortunately, the girl was able to push back and said, okay, Mom, I just want to play saxophone, and I'm very creative. Guess what? Her parents gave up. At some point, it's okay, just go and do whatever you want to do. They supported her music career because she's very creative. And she plays saxophones. What does she do now? If you have events, you invite her, she plays saxophones, and she's earning a lot of money. And she does a lot of video on TikTok, on Instagram, and companies actually pay her to advertise their product on her platform. And she's making a lot of money. For her, that's her career path. So it's knowing what passion you have, understanding what problem you want to solve, and then defining your career path. Now, there's a process to it. It doesn't mean that, oh, I love music, then immediately I want to be a musician. You have to be clear, and there's a process. There's a process that you have to work with. Get a mentor that can also help and guide you. So your career is your life, like I tell people. A lot of times, if you look at our life, start to finish, the most active part of your career, of your life, it's dedicated to a profession. You want to be an author, you want to be a speaker, you want to be an on-air personality. There's so many things you want to do. But in everything, connect it to a purpose that gives you fulfillment and satisfaction, and that enables you to bring value to the world that you're in. So that would help you.
Please give Mrs. Larioke a round of applause. She talked about something. To everything, you've discovered your purpose, your talents, your abilities, your passions. There is a process. You can't say, oh, I want to become this today, and today, at the snap of your finger, you are that. The generation we are in now, we are the generation of the microwave generation. Instantly, instant noodles, instant akara, instant everything. You just want it at the snap of your finger. There is a process. You see Tasha Cobbs, she's a successful musician. There is a process. Whatever you're aspiring to be, know that there is a process. And by the side, I would like to announce that this book looks so beautiful. This book is so beautiful. I mean, if you notice also that Mr. Fashion talked about reading as a form of investment. And if you've also taken notes that in all of their statements, they've talked about one book or the other that they've read and are shaping their mind. So we have to every man a brain. If you translate that word in Yoruba, is deep. To every man a brain. So if you'd like to get a copy of this book, kindly reach out to Mr. Toba over there. Yes, and also my HR story. I know this book is going to be so juicy. Thank you, Father God, because I have my books already. Glory. So, yeah. So, please, if you need a copy, you have to get a copy for your own sake. Invest in your life. Invest in your future. Please reach out to Mr. Toba. Thank you. God bless you. We are almost rounding up. Thank you, Miss. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so, Mr. Bolaji Akimboboye. I know that due to the times that we live in, the government, especially in a country, Nigeria, the government is this, is that. So there is this clamor for, small-scale businesses, medium-scale businesses, just start something and everything, being an entrepreneur. But truly, in the real sense, can everyone truly be an entrepreneur? Can everyone be an entrepreneur? Yes. Thank you. And then, just in 3 minutes, then also, what does it mean to be, or what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? Thank you.
Okay, I would say that I think everybody should be an entrepreneur. Genesis 1:28 said that, from the Amplified Version, it said, multiply, replenish, subdue the world, using its vast resources in the service of God and mankind. So whether you are working on your business or working in a business, you are an entrepreneur. You should have the mentality of an entrepreneur. Yeah. Colossians 3, verse 23 to 24 also said that God is your ultimate boss. So whoever you are working for yourself or somebody else, God is your ultimate boss. So entrepreneurship in that way means that he said in the service of God and mankind, it means that every day you must be solving a problem. Whether on a job or in a job, you must be solving a problem. And I think over time, the success builds. Over time, you develop grit. Over time, you develop resilience because you're going to fail. You're going to see things in a different angle. There is a story of Margaret Watkins. She started a small business during the Depression days, 1930. She's the founder of Pepperidge Farms. What she did then was she had a very good job. Then she married a guy and she had to move to Fairpoint, Connecticut. But her son had a problem, had an allergy, from artificial things they put in bread. So she had to make bread specially for her son. She made bread, there was some leftovers, and the husband took it to work, and the people loved it. And it was selling twice the cost of commercial bread at that time. Pepperidge Farms today is still in existence, serving the entire United States and Europe, because a woman started a small business in her kitchen. So you see, that was just trying to solve a problem for her son. And she started from her kitchen table. And then it is all global. Okay, the same thing with Gillette. Okay, he had a problem. He was shaving, and then he looked at the shaving stick. It couldn't slope. Okay, and he said that immediately he looked at the shaving stick, he had series of inventions in his head. But this was just a traveling sales guy. He wasn't a mechanical engineer. Between the time he found that idea, he got that idea, to the time Gillette started to sell, was over 14 years. To perfect that product was over 11 to 14 years. And at that time, there was World War I, because this was 1871, there was World War I, and then there was all sorts of trouble all around the world. But you see, he wanted to solve a problem for himself. That was where he started from. And he was a traveling salesman, which means he was probably working for a company trying to sell their product or doing it entrepreneurially. But he found the solution. And today, Gillette is, all over. As of 1956, they have sold 120 million copies of Gillette shaving stick. Okay? So, I think everybody should be entrepreneurial. You should try to look for problems on a daily basis and solve it, no matter how small it is. Try to find the problem for your neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself. Try to find that problem and solve it. And eventually, the place of wisdom is that wisdom will grant you that success. The Bible did say that when God was creating the world, wisdom was present. So if God has created the vast resources of the world, including you and I, using wisdom, it will take wisdom to explore and turn things around. So I think, yes, everybody should be an entrepreneur.
Be a problem solver. I mean, one word is saying, be a problem solver. Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Bolaji. Lastly, Mr. Dr. Adams, Dr. Adams. So I would like to ask, I don't know how it is in the medical profession, is there a way that you can add value to yourself? Just like, I'm a doctor, but are there other ways as a medical practitioner that you can add value, be more valuable, to your community, your environment, and the world at large?
Thank you very much. There are many ways you can do that. I have experiences of different people. I know my personal experience too. Let me start with myself.
I'm sorry to cut you in, sir. Very sorry, not you. Please get your questions ready. We are giving 5 persons only the opportunity. So when he's done with his own, so we start taking the questions. Just 5 persons. Get ready. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start with myself. Like when I first finished becoming a consultant, I was like, okay, this is what I did. That is that. I was struggling. I was like, I am good. I know I'm good, but I'm not getting. I was struggling financially, all way. So I met a friend of mine. I said, can you try this thing else? I had to learn from him like a student all over again. I had to follow him around, even though he was my junior, but he knew what I don't know. I followed him around, learned from him, and that thing right now is what I'm being known for. So you have to, in medical field, you must add to yourself to survive. You must learn every single day. You must learn. You cannot do it without reading. I can't say I want to operate on a patient without reading. I would have gone through different things. And I have friends abroad, so I talk to them too abroad. Okay, how do your stuffs in the US? What are your outcomes like? Can I learn from you? Can I do like, you understand? So in the medical field, you must learn. That's one thing. I have another person too, a younger colleague, that's a doctor, but he's good with graphics. He does 2D graphics. So what happens with it now, he works for a place, and they pay him for the graphics for the place, and he's also a dentist at the same time. So in that way, he's also working, applying to some other companies that do graphic stuff. So he's diverse. So as a doctor, you can't add other things, other values to yourself. And like I said earlier, you must be able to learn every single time. I tell people that, look, learning is dying.
Not learning is dying.
That just is, as in, if you say you're a doctor and you're just there, you become like a relic. You have to, like, and that thing struck me also. That the time I had a friend of mine when we finished school, like one of the best students in my class, she went to General Hospital and just stayed there. While I and my friend went further to residency to learn more. After like 10 years, we had like a reunion together. We discovered that she couldn't flow with a conversation because she was in the past, with the knowledge of the past. She couldn't flow with what we were saying, even though we were talking about the same profession. I told myself, don't ever be in this position again in your life. You must always learn, learning procedures, and be willing to be criticized. Something went wrong, yes, learn from people. So for me, as a medical professional, you must always learn, always acquire new skills. New skills means that new frontiers, like there are some things that are not even available in Nigeria. I think someone said that Nigeria, I think it was Mr. Salami, that Nigeria is like a gold mine. I tell people that, look, for medical profession, Nigeria is a diamond mine, not even a gold mine. There are some things that are not done in Nigeria. If you're the first to do it in Nigeria, you have the whole country to you. So, and that takes that you have to what? Go out, learn it. The initial phases are very difficult to start in this country. But once you break that ice, sky's the limit for you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Adamson. Please, can we just give it up for him? I read something in the news, I think yesterday, about a doctor in South Africa. A pastor was able to perform the first operation to the deaf. I mean, that is amazing. So just like I said, it's at times it's about seeing the opportunities. It might not necessarily be about, oh, I'm in America, I'm in Canada, I'm in Germany. Where you are right now, look around you, there are opportunities. So it depends on what you see and how you can leverage on them. So thank you so much. I wish this could go on and on, but it's so sad we have to go now. So very quickly, questions for our panelists, 5 persons only, very quickly. Yeah, sorry, there's someone raising his hands over there. Very quickly, 1 minute each, so we can move.
Right, good afternoon, sirs.
Good afternoon.
Everything you guys have said about careers is always linking to self-development, procedures, journey, and discovering what you know how to do best. But then, I wanted to ask, what if, or is it wrong for someone not to, like, want to work under another? Like, is that mindset, like, it's gonna be a problem when it comes to career, one's career?
I think he understands that.
Okay, thank you. I can go ahead. I think it's important for you to have that entrepreneurship mindset. You understand? And but I've always advised this. You need to serve first before you can be served. Are you getting it? If you're a waiter in a restaurant, you need to serve people first before you two can sit down someday and be what? Served. This is important because it allows you the opportunity to learn the things that you ordinarily would have missed. So working is important. It also gives you the opportunity to do what? To build a solid foundation and network. I told you my story. When we started the business, Ideas House is 12 going 13 years now. We employ 88 staff. I started with 0 in 13 years. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. It's because I had served and I had learned. So when I got my first brief of 77 million from the insurance industry in 2009, is because I had built up a rich and solid network who trust me for what I do and my ability to do what? Deliver. I also say to people sometimes, if you are an entrepreneur and you cannot pick your phone and call 2, 3, or 4 persons that can open an opportunity, then you may not actually have the right and adequate network. You've got to build that network, and you only get that network and the experience by serving first before you two can be what? Served. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir.
That's just my own personal advice.
Thank you so much, sir. That is well answered. Thank you, sir. So the next person, do we have any other person? Any more questions? Thank you. Very quickly.
Praise God.
We are beyond time. Thank you.
My question is to you, Sir Kenge. There's this thing called fear. So how did you overcome fear? Because there's this fear of changing. How, if I change, will I do well? If I stay where I am, am I still going to be able to make something of myself? Because some people just say, just start. Does just start actually work? Just start. Does it actually work? Thank you, sir.
Fear. I know Mr. Fashion spoke about fear earlier on. And you've got to overcome fear along the way. For me, from my own personal experience, if you look at a baby that is just starting to walk, what happens? Initially, the baby will walk, fall down. Eventually, he or she will gather themselves, balance, and they'll start running. That's exactly the way it is in the workplace. You've got to overcome your fear. When I decided that I was going to leave my comfort zone, I had less than 1.5 million naira in my pocket. But I left. My wife said to me, home, school fees. I said, don't worry. God is what? On the throne. So today it's history. You have to overcome that fear, because if you don't, you will never, ever go beyond your comfort zone. And I always encourage you to please overcome your fear. You will fail many times. I have failed many times too. In 1996, my brothers and I, we invested in a poultry business that we didn't know anything about. We lost 52 million naira in 1996. Do you know how much 52 million naira is today? It's like saying you're losing 400 million today. Am I still here? Yes. Have I learned? Yes. Would I do poultry again? Maybe not. You understand? So you've got to fail at some point, but it's not failing that matters, but it's the lessons learned that is most important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, please, for any of the panelists, your questions. Thank you. Sorry, she needs a mic. It's nothing to laugh about. Thank you.
I wish to study a course whereby I know I cannot do it. So how can I balance?
Sorry, did you? Okay, can you please come again?
In a process whereby I go for a course whereby I know that is my capacity.
It is not your capacity. It is your capacity. Okay. Okay.
So, and because I'm aiming for, I don't think I can balance. I don't think I can.
Okay, like the course you're in right now, you have the capacity for it. Okay, but the one you're truly aiming for.
All right, I'll take that question. The first comment you made, I think it speaks to what you think of yourself. And that is called limiting belief. Now, a lot of times, we doubt ourselves. I mean, you talk to ourselves. Before you do things, you must have said it in your mind. If you feel like drinking Coke, before you buy Coke, you must have thought of drinking Coke. So which means it's called self-talk. We all talk to ourselves every day. You have to be conscious of what you are telling yourself, because that is what would either make you make progress or not. So if you think you do not, Steve Jobs says, if you think you can, you are right. If you think you can't as well, you are what? You are right. So it depends on what you think of yourself first. I need you to switch your mindset from I can't do this, I don't have smart brain, to I can do this. Because that is what will propel you to have clarity and find your own answers to your questions. That's number one. The other bit with regards to understanding that you have capacity for the current course you're taking, and you know that you desire another course, but you don't think you have capacity for that course. Now, you're clear what course you desire. That's number one, which is very good. The other bit is you now need to ask yourself further, what do I need to do to be able to make that course? What are the requirements for that course? What will it entail me to do? So for instance, you can be in a particular course. This is just me citing an example. Maybe someone is in commercial, you're studying law, but your true desire is to become a medical doctor. I mean, I saw a video trending a couple of months of a medical doctor who went back to study engineering, and today is a mechanic, a medical doctor and a proud mechanic. You can imagine. So you should know what it requires for you to do to be able to meet that dream academic that you so desire. Then sit back and ask yourself, what am I going to be doing on a daily basis? So if it's going to require you to read more, if it's going to require you to take some trainings or courses, if it's going to require you to get some tutor or teacher that would guide you, and plan accordingly, so that would help you walk towards what you desire. Your dreams are valid. You want it, you can get it. But every day say to yourself, I am going to get this, and I'm going to take everything that it requires. As long as I desire it, I'm going to get it. And it's possible.
Go. Any more question? Okay. Just, okay. Ourselves and him, then we are done for today. No, we can't take more than 5 because of time. I'm very, very sorry. We're still going to have a breakout session. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, please go on.
The first thing you need is that idea. That is the first thing you need. You need that idea that you want to solve a problem. Now, you should understand that except the product is available or except the service is available and it's already making sales or earning income, you necessarily might not get investors, so to speak. The 2 stories I talked about, Mildred Rodkins and King Cam Gillette, they struggled with getting finances. As a matter of fact, for Gillette, it was just one person that invested in him. But this is what I will say. You need to understand that it is actually a problem you are solving. Okay? So the first thing you should do is, how much do I need for this project to start or for this idea to kick off? And then you need to bootstrap. Bootstrapping means that you might not get the investors, and usually you won't, except you're already producing or you have services already in the market. So what you need to do is to raise your own money. The little you can start with, you need to start with that. I've hardly read about anybody that started with an idea and got a large volume of money immediately. So what you need to know is that, what is the problem that I am trying to solve? And then the market, is a market available for this problem? Because these are all the things that would precipitate into the plan you're going to have. But most especially, when the money is not enough, you need to bootstrap. It's either you work for the money, you have to go and serve again for some number of months or weeks, or maybe within family, friends, and folks, if they are able to raise that fund for you, but it's principally up to you. So no, lack of capital cannot stop a dream from coming up.
Thank you so much, sir. That question was well answered. I hope you're okay with the answer. Thank you. So over to you.
Yeah, my question goes this way. It's all about career as well, but in the upper to study another course that you don't need like, but it's the fastest way forward for you to become successful. What do you think? But if the one you were doing before, you really love it. Okay. Like you like it, but there's a possibility that you have to change.
So something that feels like, oh, this one you get more successful faster.
Thinking that's okay. I'm trying to understand the question first, so that whatever response I give is appropriate. So you are in a course or a career.
She has passion
that you have passion for.
Yes.
You enjoy.
Yes, but she has another opportunity for a course that if she studies it, is like a quick route to being successful.
Okay, so the question is, that other opportunity that would shorten your journey, is it relevant to your future plan? Is it relevant? Those are questions you need to ask yourself. Is it relevant? Because today it might seem to give you that quick answer that you want, but on the long run, what is the impact to your overall career dream or purpose? So you need to be clear on that. That's one. Then when you say it is also, if it sort of shortens your journey, what are the benefits that it affords you? Is it legal? Is it legit? Is it okay? Does your conscience accept it? If your conscience accepts it and in line with your beliefs, it is fine. But if in any way contradicts any of your personal value or beliefs, then there's a question mark to that shortcut. But if it's a learning that you believe will help propel your future on time, then it's fine. Just understand that the Bible says whatever your hands finds to do, do it well. If it's shorter and is legit and your spirit man accepts it and you have the go ahead of God, then maybe you embrace it. Otherwise, then you might need to have a rethink. I hope I answered that question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. So any more questions? 2 more questions. Okay. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm picking my question from a story.
In our career aspirations, I work in the empowerment department of my church, and one of the major problems that we have with our teenagers, from my experience working with youths and teenagers, is a lot of teenagers believe that they know what is right for them. It's okay, and they don't need parental guidance or consent. I love to sing. I'm a musician. I don't want to read anymore. I want to face my music career. So whatever your parents is telling you is, no. I know what I want for myself. Please, there's a place for parental guidance. Even when you think, okay, I'm doing this because my parents want me to do it. The Bible says, honor thy father and their mother. My mom wanted me to read medicine. I had to honor her. I read it. I did well. I had a 2-1 in biochemistry eventually. At the end of the day, she was proud of me. And by the time I had my own authority to take my own career decision in my 20s, I took my decision. Well, she had passed before then anyway. So honor your parents. You believe you understand or you know your career. It's good, it's right. But for the moment that you have parental guidance, honor them. And if you believe that they are pushing you to do what you really don't like to do, put them in prayers. I tell people, let's pray for our parents. God touches the heart of people. Pray for them, speak to God, and at the end of the day, trust me, when you look back and you connect the dots, it will make sense. Today, I'm thriving in my career because there's a lot of knowledge that I had gleaned from studying sciences. It was tedious. I built resilience. And today there's forget this packaging, When anything happens, I roll up my sleeve. I'm in the factory. I work in a manufacturing organization. Forget these heels. I'll remove it and wear my boots. I'm in the factory. So whatever you're doing, learn from it. For the time that you're under their parental watch, and please obey your parents. That's what I usually tell young ones. Please.
Thank you so much. You would agree with me that they are wonderful. I mean, they are wonderful. Are they wonderful? Can you please tell them, thank you, ma, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So this is going to be a wrap today. Thank you for being a part of this. And I would like to tell you, HR story by Mrs. Lara Yoko. For pickup, you can reach out to the handsome young man over there. Then to every man a brain is also available for pickup. Do well to get it. Thank you so much for having this time out. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Quickly, let's just take a picture so we can have the speakers come to the podium to, yes, please. And panelists, all the speakers around with Pastor Yomi. Let's take a picture.
Mr. Toba.
If we have Mr. Toba Best, Mr. Daniel, please come up to take the picture. Michael Yusuf, please come up. All right, great. So you can connect with us via social media. So Allstar Church on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So you can just grab your phones and just like our page. We have quality content there for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Hello.